but we don't have the funds right now to do that kind of thing. But we try to occupy those buildings. It's so important for a building to remain occupied for the upkeep of the building, and that's one of our goals as well. We recently, the committee that I represent, recently managed to get it rezoned, to get the airbase rezoned to planned development category so that we can actually bring businesses in there. But one of the standards of the being on the National Register is that we can't do anything to the appearance on the outside of those buildings that's not authentic from that time period. So it's very important that we maintain that. But the interior of the buildings can be redesigned and restructured as they need to be. But our goal is to get everything out there occupied. I recently sent a letter to the city manager and the commission stating that our committee is recommending that the city tourism department be moved to the administration building over there at the air base, and I think that would be a terrific move.
I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, if that could happen, it would be a tremendous thing because there would be a constant presence out there. That building would be maintained. We've got a new hotel going up over there, right next to the air base, as you know, and we're hoping that this whole property will be a big magnet for people who stay at that hotel. We've definitely got some plans, and money. Money is the thing that stands in the way. Now, the city does have some money. We've raised some money. Our committee has raised some money. And we just need donations. If there's anybody out there who's sitting on a lot of money, folks, we sure wouldn't mind getting...
Even a little bit. We don't care.
Yeah, even a little bit. Every little bit counts. It would be terrific as far as maintaining that air base is concerned. So that's a little bit about the history of the base and some of what we do. You know, we're involved in preservation, we're involved in reconstruction, in rehabilitation, and in basically just making sure that those buildings stay in as good a condition as they possibly can. And we're constantly working on things like replacing windows that window frames have rotted out, or roofs, because the roof, of course, we don't want leaks there. And this sort of thing does take money.
Money and time.
Money and time. But in addition to the things that I've already mentioned historically, at the hangars that we have out there, those original hangars, there's two of them that are original. There's some aircraft reconstruction going on out there, has been for a long time.
Right.
You know that Don Brooks, our very own Don Brooks, is heavily involved in that kind of thing. And I applaud him and the efforts of everybody who wants to do that kind of thing. My father was a career Air Force officer. He was a colonel in the Air Force, and I myself am a veteran. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was in the Army. That was my one bit of rebellion against my father, to be honest with you.
Everybody needs a little bit.
Right, but I'm passionate about this whole thing. But on that reconstruction I was talking about, they're currently reconstructing a B-17 out there in one of the hangars. One of the hangars contains a Stearman biplane, which you can see a model of in the museum, but there's an actual Stearman biplane that's been reconstructed, that beautiful yellow and blue plane that was what those cadets trained in. That was their first aircraft out there. There's also in one of the small hangars, that's not an original hangar, but there's a reconstruction going on of a twin fuselage P-51 Mustang. It's called a P-82. That came about toward the end of the war, and because the war ended, there was no need for it anymore, but it's one of the very few that exist anywhere, and that's being reconstructed out there right now.
Now, are people allowed to go out there to the hangars?
People can go out to the museum, and they can be guided by the director of that museum. The museum's open on, I forget the hours, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
We're all open the same time.
Yeah, and anybody, by the way, folks, all of you out there, if you haven't been to that museum, shame on you.
Yes.
If you're from Douglas and Coffee County or anywhere near here, it's really, really nice. It is.
It's one of the best I've seen in a long time in a small community.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah, so we definitely support that museum. They support us. And if a person goes out there to take that tour, there's a good chance they might be able to go into those hangars that I was talking about and see some of what's going on out there. But one can't just go wander out there on his or her own. Right. Yeah.
I applaud your group because one of my pet peeves is to see things destroyed because there's just no care given.
Right.
And nothing disintegrates faster than a building with nothing in it.
That's right.
So I am so glad that there's an active part going on to preserve it. I really am.
Yeah.
I wish we'd get on some of these houses I see in town.
I know
That's
exactly
another
what you're saying.
money pit too, but
Absolutely, but we definitely want to see that air base be preserved and be used, those buildings be used. The Civil Air Patrol's out there, they've been
Right.
out there for a while, and that makes sense because it's an aeronautical associated organization. So we've had other businesses out there, we've had people come and people go, and we just want to see something really nice get established out there.
each fall, the cadets that graduated from there
That's right.
come back to Douglas, and they always visit our museum and the one out there, and it's such a great group. And every year, I've been here 3 years working with them now, and the gentleman says, "I'll see you next year." Well, he'll be 99 next year. So I am on tenterhooks hoping he comes back next fall, because he loves Douglas, and the stories he has to tell are amazing.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, their last reunion, I was the speaker at their banquet, and I was talking to a gentleman who had gone through our flight training school. He was in his 90s, or is in his 90s, and he was telling me that he flew over 100 combat missions in a P-47 Thunderbolt in Europe, and he was trained right here in Douglas. Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing.
It is. It's truly amazing.
I'm so glad you came to join us today, and we want you to come back sometime and give us an update. And I encourage everybody in Coffee County, part of your New Year resolution is to go to the airport and look at the World War II Museum.
Could I say one last thing?
Sure, you can say
Yeah,
anything
I
you want
wanted to mention that right here in this Heritage Museum, located in the old train terminal, there is a model
Yes.
of the flight school
Yes.
that has all the original buildings on it, and,
And the tower and everything else.
Absolutely, it was constructed as a service project by, I
For
think,
Eagle
an Eagle
Scout.
Scout. Yes, and that's right here, along with a lot of other memorabilia that
Yes.
has to do with our armed forces in World War II. And so I would encourage people to come out here to this museum.
Well, if we finish the World War II exhibit, there's going to be more things from out there the guys have given us. But we're trying to repurpose that area.
Yeah.
So just come on down. I love history, and you will too.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. We're so glad you joined us again. My next guest is Mr. Bobby Underwood, and he's going to tell us some stories about Douglas, just the general history and information. Mr. Underwood is my male counterpart to Mary Clyde Scott. So welcome, and we're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here, and I do enjoy telling what I know about years ago. And
Good. Tell us some interesting things you want to share with us today.
I had an uncle that was Mr. Lonnie Ward, Uncle Lonnie Ward, that he could tell us anything that we wanted to know about different things. And like back of the golf course there, we were playing in the sand where the 17 runs around there to Ward Lake. We were digging in that sand and we found logs running across the stream. We asked him, said, why are these logs here? He says, oh, this was the stagecoach road. This is where the stagecoach run and made a curve up there and went out there in the field that way. And so then we said, well now, if you know that, why are those posts across 17 down there up in that field going across to Gaskin Springs? And he said, well, after the stagecoach abandoned the road, the people that wanted to go to the campground would take their wagons and go around there and hitch them And then they built this walkway all the way across the river.
So they walked.
Walked from that side to the other side to keep from going all the way up the West Green Road to go in there. And he said that's why that was there. Of course, when I was a kid, about the only thing that was left was a few boards and the
Right.
post. But we often wondered, why are these posts
Lined up.
going across here? And then one day as we did lots of walking, of course.
Well, everybody did.
And one thing you didn't have to worry about is a place to get water. There were springs everywhere.
Were there artesian springs? or just-
Artesian, they just run all the time, all year long. But we were going through from the golf club road, there where you make that curve, there was a 3-path road that went all the way through there and come out at the 17 bridge on the West Green Road. One day we were going through there and he said, wait, while we're here, let me show you where they made the brick for the college. Built a building out of it. So he taken us back up behind the little store there, and there was pits all in there. And he said, this is where they made the bricks, fired them, and everything for the college. Built a building out of it. Now, I don't know if they built the whole building or which
Just part
building,
of it or pieces? or
which
whatever.
building it was
That's
or
amazing.
anything.
I never knew they were built out there. I never heard that story before.
Well, he showed us where it was at and everything, and he knew all of that stuff. And right in the same neighborhood there was Sibbitt's Pond, Dr. Sibbitt.
Dr. Sibbett, I remember that name.
Yeah, Dr. Sibbitt built a pond there, and he had a spillway, and he built him a house over it and a way to walk down into the water and everything. And of course, when I seen it, it was gone and nothing but some of the timbers were still there. And the dam was made out of cement block all the way across. And there would be places missing, blocks gone. Some too deep, some just one. We said, why are the blocks gone? Water couldn't wash them away. He said, no, during the Depression, if people needed a cement block, they'd come in and
And just take it.
take some block out. And so it's still there, I'm sure, but that's where us kids, we stayed in the creeks
Cooler.
and the shop pond, and that was entertainment. Our entertainment was wading this stream that came from the creamery to the pool, and there was red eyes as far as up as here.
Really?
Yes. And that was just our playground. And all along there you would find tar cup tins of the stuck in the dirt and water just pouring out. Of course, here in town they had some iron pipes stuck up in there and everything. But anywhere you went, you could find water to drink. And
I remember as a child going to my uncle's place in Jacksonville, Georgia, and he had a pipe outside his store, and it would be cold to your hand. The water was so cold it'd beat up in the summertime.
yeah,
Oh, that was some good water.
that was good water. Yeah. Well, there was flowing wells, springs everywhere. And then, let's see, the shop pond, well, I don't know if everybody knows why 17 is named 17.
Tell us.
I was always curious, why is it called 17 River? And Uncle said, well, when you got off the ferry at Okmulgee River, the people say, how far will it be before I can camp tonight? And they'd say, well, you can go 17 miles and there's a river. And that's the Boxton Bridge.
Yeah.
And then you can go 20 miles, that's the one by the Catfish House. You can camp there. Or you can go 29 miles and you can camp there, and that's the bridge between, just up above Scintilla Store and Katie's.
The Katie store